Good morning, guys. Today we'll be doing lesson 3, and we'll be doing just the first part of lesson 3. Tomorrow, on Thursday, we'll be doing part 2. In today's lesson, you will listen to Waiting for the Biblioburro read aloud. So the only thing you're going to need for today is your computer. Our learning targets for today are I can determine the gist of Waiting for the Biblioburro, and I can identify the central message, lesson, or moral of Waiting for the Biblioburro. And since gist and moral are underlined and in bold print, this means that these are vocabulary words for today and for this lesson. So let's take a look at gist first. So gist is just what the text is mostly about. So if I ask you, what is the gist of this story? I just want you to tell me what the story was about. Just tell me what that story was overall about. Let's look at moral. Moral is an important message or lesson that is relevant to the real world that the author wants the reader to take away. So a moral is just an important lesson or message again that the author wants you to remember, and you can apply it to your everyday life. We're going to be close reading Waiting for the Biblioburro, as well as a couple other stories during our first unit. And in order to close read, I really only want us to worry about one thing right now, and I want us to read small chunks of our text slowly. And I want to think about the gist, remember what the text is mostly about, just for that small chunk. So we're going to think about the gist in small chunks. And that's how we're going to be able to close read. I wanted to show you a map of the world just because we're going to be taking some trips as we read. We're going to be visiting different countries, different continents. So I wanted to show you these different continents. Continents are the big areas of land that hold smaller countries or states. And there are 7 continents: North America, South America, Antarctica, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australia. We're also going to be focusing on where our trips are taking us in relation to where we are. So compared to where Charlotte is, we are going to look at where our stories take place and see if they're north of us, south of us, east, or west. So Waiting for the Biblioburro takes place in Colombia, which is in South America. So this right here is Colombia. If you can see, it's at the very top of South America, right next to Venezuela. So Colombia is right here, this country right here. We live in Charlotte, so that means we're here. We are right here. So compared to where we are, Colombia is south of us. We would have to travel south to go to Colombia. Because if you look at our compass, we would be going down this direction. We would be going down south. So what we're going to do now is I want you to listen to Waiting for the Biblioburro read aloud and just be thinking of what you're hearing this story is about. Behind a tree, there is a house. In the house, there is a bed, and on the bed, there is a little girl named Anna, fast asleep, dreaming about the world outside and beyond the hill. Wakes up to the rooster's kikiri. Papa is already at work on the farm, and Mommy is busy in the garden. Anna bathes her little brother and feeds the goats and collects the eggs to sell at the market. After breakfast, Anna and her mother walk down the hill. Anna closes her eyes against the sun and wishes she was back in the cool of the house with her libro, her book. Anna has her only book. So many times she knows it by heart. The book was a gift from her teacher for working so hard on her reading and writing. But last fall, her teacher moved far away, and now there is no one to teach Anna and the other children in the village. So at night, on her bed in the house on the hill, Anna makes up her own cuentos and tells the stories to her little brother to help him fall asleep. She tells him stories about make-believe creatures that live in the forest and the mountains and the sea. She wishes for new stories to read, but her teacher with the books was gone. One morning, Anna wakes up to the sound of tak-tak, clip-clop, and a loud "yeah, yeah." When Anna looks down the hill below her house, she sees a man with a sign that reads Biblioburro. With the man, there are two burros. What are they carrying? Libros, books. Anna runs down the hill to the man with the sign and the burros and the books. Other children run to him too, skipping down hills and stomping through the fields. Who are you? Who are they? The children ask. The man says, I am a librarian, a bibliotecario, and these are my burros, Alpha and Beta. Welcome to the Biblio Burro, my biblioteca. But senor, Anna says, I thought libraries were only in big cities and buildings. Not this one, says the librarian. This is a moving library. Then he spreads out his books and invites the children to join him under a tree. Once upon a time, the librarian begins, sharing the story of an elephant who swings from a spider's web. He reads from books with the beautiful pictures, then helps the little ones learn their abecedario. Sings A, C, D, E, F, H. Finally, he says, now it's your turn. Pick out books, and in a few weeks, I will be back to collect them and bring you new ones. Me too? Asks Anna. Especially you, says the librarian with a smile. So many cuentos. While Alpha and Beto chomp the sweet grass under the tree, Anna picks up book after book and finds pink dolphins and blue butterflies, castles and fairies, talking lions and magic carpets. Someone should write a story about your burros, Anna tells the librarian, rubbing Alpha's nose and feeding more grass to Beto. Why don't you? He asks. Then he packs up the books and is off. Enjoy, he calls to the children. I will be back. Anna runs up the hill to her house, hugging the books to her chest. She can't wait to share her books with her brother. And that night, she reads until she can't keep her eyes open any longer. Each morning, Anna does her chores and reads and looks out her window. She listens for the sound of Alpha and Beta, but weeks pass and the librarian doesn't return. When will he come back? She asks her mother, who smiles and says, Go read, Anna. When will he come back? She asks her mother, who smiles and says, Go draw, Anna. When will he come back? She asks her mother, who smiles and says, Go write, Anna. When will he come back? She asks her mother, who finally says, Go to bed, Anna. One night, Anna dreams she's flying over her country on a butterfly's back. In her dream, she crosses mountains and oceans and rivers and jungles, bringing stories everywhere she goes. Stories fly from her mouth and fingers like magic, falling into the hands of the children waiting below. When Anna wakes up, she misses Alpha and Beta and Nobilio Burrows' books. She remembers that the librarian told her that she could write a book, and so, with paper and string and colored pencils, she does. Finally, just when Anna thinks she'll never see the Biblio Burrow again, she wakes up to ee-yaw, ee-yaw, and children yelling. She runs down the hill with her library books and a special surprise of her very own. I wrote this cuento for you, she says. Que bueno, the librarian says, and then he reads her story to the children under the tree. When it's time to go, Anna's book is packed carefully on the burro's back, ready to be carried away over the hills and through the fields to another child who is asleep on a bed, in a house, on a hill, behind a tree, dreaming of Alpha and Beta and all the new stories the Biblioburo will bring. All right, guys, so that was Waiting for the Biblioburo, and I want you to think, what did this story make you think about? What did this story make you think about? Pause the video and think. I know that the story made me think about books, school, technology, school work, the library, and kids reading. So that is all for part 1 of our lesson. I want to thank you guys. Make sure that you get caught up on any work we have so far, and I will see you tomorrow.